Grace, and right now I'm going to be talking about all of the sequels that I can't believe that I have not read. I was looking at my shelf and I was like, I need to finish like, I don't know, maybe like 100 series. And so I was looking at my shelf and I was like, oh, can't believe I haven't read all of these. I just saw another one that I'm gonna add to my list. But I just have so many sequels of series that I love that I honestly don't know where the time went and passed me by, and I haven't read them, so I'm just gonna go ahead and talk about them. And in talking about them, hopefully it will get me more excited to actually pick them up and read them. The first book I'm going to talk about that is the last book in a series that I loved, and I still do, but I've kind of lost interest in it, and I want to finish this because I've invested a lot of time in this series. I can't believe I haven't read it, and it's The Ruby Circle by Rochelle Mead, which is the last book in her spin-off series of the Vampire Academy, and this is Bloodlines, and it follows Sydney and Adrian, and even just like talking about them again, it brings back feelings. It's the last book, and it's not even long, so honestly, what am I doing? Why haven't I read it? It came out like 2 years ago, around this 3 years ago? I really need to read this, like honestly, what the heck. They're one of my favorite OTP couples because they're just so freaking awesome, so yeah. The next book that I can't believe I haven't read is Carry On by Rainbow Rowell. I know that this is like the first book in, I think, a series, but I consider it kind of a sequel because in Fangirl Path, this was her fan fiction, and I have read, you know, about Simon and Baz, and I feel like reading about them again entails it's a sequel. And I loved her fan fiction in that. I loved the characters, just falling in love with those little snippets. And so when this came out, I was like, I'm so gonna read this, like, in a week, and a year, maybe 2 years has passed, and that hasn't happened. So I don't know when I'll get to it, but I hope to gosh that it'll be soon. Next book, I have no excuse because the first book was and is still one of my favorite books of all time, and that is the sequel of The Diviners, and that's Lair of Dreams by Libba Bray. This is the beautiful UK edition. If you didn't know, this is set in the 1920s. It's kind of like a paranormal urban fantasy, really awesome book. It kind of has an It vibe to it, you know. No, it doesn't. I don't know why I say that. Maybe because I just watched the It trailer, which is freaking scary. But there's just a villain in this that really creeps me out. And I just really adore this book. I love the main character, Evie. She's spunky and smart. And it's set in the 1920s, which is an era that's just so fun to read about. And I love their little like languages, or not languages, but you know, the little slang that they used in that time is just always so interesting to talk about. I mean, to read about, but yeah, I don't know why I haven't read this book. It's been like 3.5 years. I think. I don't even know. The only thing that I could justify this with is the sequel of this hasn't come out, and it's supposed to come out soon, but I know it's been pushed back a lot. So I mean, maybe it's a good thing that I haven't read it because series won't be all out for a really long time. The next sequel, no, it's not really a sequel, it is the first book in like a spin-off series that deals with completely different characters. I don't even know if you can call it a spin-off series, but it's set in the same world as the first trilogy that I read it from. And that is Six of Crows by Leigh Bardugo, the Grisha trilogy. And I did enjoy that trilogy. I think I enjoyed the first book more than I enjoyed the last two, but I still really enjoyed those characters. And if you tell me, like, if you talk to me about it, I will remember like scene by scene what happened in those books, which is kind of rare. I tend to forget a lot about what happened in the book sometimes, but with series that really stick to you, you'll remember them. And so having Six of Crows come out, I was like, I'm so gonna read that so quick, and I didn't, just like with all of these other books. This one deals with criminals and a heist, and it just sounds super adventurous, and you're following multiple characters, which I love, and these pages are beautiful. There's been so many times where I went to Barnes & Noble and I see the sequel of Six of Crows, and I'm just like, I want that, but I haven't read the first book, so I just gotta read it, and then I'll get that, because the pages are red, and it's just so beautiful. The next sequel, I cannot believe that I haven't read. It's the last book of a trilogy, and it's Dreams of Gods and Monsters by Laini Taylor, the last book in the Daughter of Smoke and Bone trilogy. And the Daughter of Smoke and Bone trilogy, I think the first 2 books were in my very first video I ever posted on this channel. So that goes way back. To be honest, I forgot a lot of what happened in those books, but I still remember a lot. Like, I still remember vivid scenes in that. But I don't think I could just go ahead and read this book without being like, whoa, what the hell's going on? I just have to go and like read summaries of this last 2 books and then go into this. But this is also a monster of a book. so I have to, you know, put time aside to read this. The next conclusion I haven't read is crazy because I absolutely love the first 2 books, and that is The Hero of the Ages by Brandon Sanderson, the last book in the Mistborn trilogy. I love the first 2 books. They are huge, and maybe they like, when I'm like, hey, I should pick this up, but I'm also like, it's so huge, it's a little intimidating, but I had read the first 2 pretty quickly, and a bummer is that I lent them out to a friend, and he's had them for like 6 months, which is a long time, and I should probably just text him and be like, hey dude, can you mail me my books back? But I also just really want him to read them, but I don't know, I'll figure that out eventually. Anyway, I really need Snicket. I just really need to read this book. I've heard so many great things, also really like super sad things that I'm like, am I ready for this? I get a lot of questions whenever I show this book, and it's like, where did I get this? Because it's the UK edition, and I got this one from the Book Depository. Next conclusion that I can't believe I haven't read is also really huge, and that is The Beauty of Darkness by Mary E. Pearson. It's the last book in the Romantic Chronicles. I love the first 2 books. I have started this, but I only got to page like 24, so that's really, I just lost interest, but I was only on page 24. I just need to give it a little more time. But this deals with an arranged marriage, and she flees from this arranged marriage, and she goes into this town, and she starts to be like the little waitress at the pub there, and she meets these 2 guys who she doesn't know, and one of them is like an assassin that's trying to kill her. And another is, who's the other guy? You know, I forget. That's how long it's been since I've refreshed my memory on these books. But I look like seeing this and talking about it, I'm like, wow, I need to read it. Where is the time? Okay, now I remember who the other guy is, and it's the prince who she was supposed to marry, that's funny. Can't believe I forgot that for a second, but I mean, it's been a while. In the last 2 books I'm gonna talk about, this is like intense. I cannot believe that I have not read them yet. The first one is Crystal Storm by Morgan Rhodes, which is the 5th book to the Fallen Kingdom series. If you didn't know, it's one of my favorite YA fantasy series. I absolutely love this and all these characters, mainly Magnus, because he is super morally ambiguous and awesome and just so interesting to read about. I have again started this. I got to page like 20 something and put it down. So that's another thing I have to stop doing. But this came out, I'm pretty sure, in December, which it doesn't seem like a long time, but it is. It's been like 4 months. Usually when a sequel to a series that I love comes out, I will drop everything and read it, and I haven't with this, and it makes me sad because I've done it with all the previous books to this series. And the last book that I haven't read is insane. Honestly, what is wrong with me? It is also the 5th book in a series, and I don't know how many books are going to be in this series. I think 6, 8? Honestly, I don't know. And that is Empire of Storms by Sarah J. Maas, which is obviously in the Throne of Glass series. It's so extremely popular. I really don't even need to talk about it because everyone knows what it's about. This is also a very large book. You can't really tell because it looks like small, but the pages are so thin. Yeah, so this book is almost 700 pages, which is a chunker. So you want to, you know, set time aside and really invest yourself in this. This series is a series I absolutely love, and I adore these characters. Speaking of Sarah J. Maas, the next book in the Court of Thorns and Rose I'm pretty sure it's not going to be a trilogy anymore. I think there's going to be like 6 books or something. The 3rd book is coming out, and I know for a fact when that book comes out, I will drop everything and read it because I'm super, super interested in that trilogy, our series. I don't know which one I love more. I think I love both equally, just in different ways. And it's gonna be sad because I'm definitely most likely gonna read the sequel to A Court of Mist and Fury, which what's the name? I know it has to do with wings. That's how out of it I am. I don't even know the title of it, but I know it has to do with wings. I'll read that first before this, which is sad, but I'm more interested in that at the moment. Because, you know, Rysand, or Rysand, however you want to pronounce it. I say Rysand because I've been pronouncing it like that since book 1, and I'm not changing it. I think Rysand sounds way better than Rysand for some reason. Those are all the sequels that I haven't read, which are a lot. If you've read any of these and you want to tell me your thoughts, not too much because they are sequels, so I don't want to know too much. But if you liked them, if you didn't, I would love to know. Or if you're in the same boat as me and you haven't, you know, finished them, you just want to vent together, let's do that. I just want the feeling of finishing a trilogy and that like closure and happiness because I haven't felt that in a long time. But anyway, I hope you enjoyed this video and I will see you in my next one. Bye.